Welcome, and this is the start of a diorama base that I'm going to be building for a group build. The group build is the Torch group build. It is hosted by a very good friend of mine, John Moore. Now, if you've never stumbled across John Moore's channel, I should put a link in the description box. Please go across and have a look at John's channel. Excellent modeler. And John is hosting this group build. It's Operation Torch, and basically it's any vehicle that was used in the Operation Torch invasion of North Africa. But John did extend it to cover the 8th Army, Egypt, everywhere else. So it's all to do with the desert campaign anyway. Now, my entry, as you can see in front of you, is these are the vehicles that I've picked and built to go onto my diorama base. We'll run through just out of sheer interest of what they are. We have the Tamiya Valentine. This is the new one. Excellent kit, went together lovely. We have the Interlari Crusader. Very nice kit as well, with a few issues, not too much though. And the little scout car at the front, this is an IBG kit. This is the Otter. Very nice little kit. I'm still working on this one. There's a lot of detailing involved in this one. So these are the three vehicles that I want to display on a diorama base. Now, a lot of people are going to say you wouldn't have got these three vehicles in the same place. I do understand that, but I'm going to display these on a road. So I will try and sort of like do a quick demonstration of what I have in mind. So start off with, I'll pull the camera back. So I'll move these vehicles to one side. Now, I'm going down the path of a mountain road, or a valley, or a very steep hill. Now, the roads used to try and keep everything in shot. They sort of snaked up the side of the mountains and hills, and that's what I would like to build. This is just a rough demonstration just to give you the idea of the direction I'm going. So to start off with, this is my road. I would like one vehicle coming up the road, the second vehicle actually on the turn circle at the end, because they had a turning circle to go up the second part of the gradient, and then the little Otter out in front, as that's a scout car. So that's the way I'd like to build my diorama, and well, that's the way I'm going to build it. To start off with, the sizes of this. Now, I always have a set size in my head, because I have a display cabinet. The shelves are 300 wide, plus 10mm from the shelf to the glass doors. So everything that I want to display in my display cabinet, I have to work on them measurements. Now, 300 is quite big, but I still like to keep it down to as narrow as I can get it. Now, this at the moment is working out, as it sits, about 150 or 15 centimeters. So the size I'm actually going to be building this at is roughly about 230, 240 millimeters, or 23 or 24 centimeters, whichever way you'd like to do it. The actual length of it, I haven't got no limit on the length, because I have quite a big display case. So I roughly will be starting off at about 500 altogether. The reason is that the actual foam board that I will be using is 500 wide, so I'll just cut it that size and then we'll start and work back. So that is basically the rough layout of in the direction I'm going. Now the next thing is the construction of it and how it's going to be built. I'm going to be using a Celotex board, which is a high density insulation board, which I will go over in a few minutes and we'll have a look, and I'll just run you through its properties and everything else. But that is how I'm going to build it. What I should do, we'll go over, we'll look at the board, I'll get my stuff cut, we'll come back to the bench and we'll get started building this, and I'll try and video each step as we're going through, so you've got an idea of what's going on and how I'm doing things. So we'll pop across now and we'll have a look at this Celotex board. Okay, what we're looking at now is Celotex insulation board. A quick rundown about Celotex insulation board. This is used in the building industry for insulating walls, insulating lofts, soundproofing between rooms in stud partition walls. It's also used under the floor. Concrete is poured on top of this stuff for underfloor, the heating systems and things like that. So it is a very versatile board. Now it's a high density foam board, as you can see. This particular board is reinforced, as you can see by these lines. There is netting that is sandwiched between the board itself. It is very light, and that's all I can tell you about the actual board itself, about its uses on site. What I'm actually going to use it for is the base to do my diorama, and you're going to ask me the reason why. Right, the first thing is it's light. Weight issue, I'm always worried about weight on shelves. So that's the reason why. That's the first reason. Second reason is price. This is 1 meter 200, 500 wide, 50mm thick, and this cost me a grand total of £4.95 from my local builders merchant. They're also available in DIY centres. The price of some blue modelling foam, it'll cost you anywhere between £25 and £30 a piece this size. So that's another reason why I've picked this particular board. Also, I have used this in the past to build diorama bases, and it works extremely well, and that's the third reason. Questions about it, I shall try and answer them. It glues together using PVA glue, no problems at all. It's covered in a foil which is easily pulled off, which I do take off to glue the two surfaces together. It's easily shaped and sculpted into whatever you would like, with using ordinary utility knives, a sharp knife. It will sculpt to whatever you want, and that's what I'm going to use. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go off and get this cut, and that's the fourth question: cutting. This can be cut with a carving knife, a bread knife, a saw, a blunt saw, even the back of a saw. This will cut extremely easily, so there is no issues about cutting. But if you are cutting this, it would be better to be cut outside, because it's no different. If you use a saw, you're going to get the same as what you cut wood. You get sawdust, you'll get foam dust. So it's better off to cut outside, out the way. If you do want to cut it inside, I would recommend using a sharp utility knife, the ones that the blade extends right out, and then you can actually cut right the way through without creating any dust. But I'm just going to take this outside and put a saw through it. So I'll be starting off, I'll be just measuring 250, which is the size that I decided for my diorama base. So it's going to be 250 by 500 long. I'm going to cut probably an extra 2 or 3 bits, which will probably take up most of that sheet. Then I shall cut the 250 bits down as I need them to build up my roads. So I shall go off and get them done, and I shall get all my bits, and I shall get them up to the bench, and then I'll show you how I'm going to assemble all this. Well, we're back at the bench, and I've managed to get my pieces cut. Just move them out of the way just for a second. Sorry about the glare. Now, this is 250 by 500, and I've also cut some bits. These are 500, and they're 126, I think, mils wide. They are actually just cut in half. So the first thing I need to do is I need to sort of work out the angle of the road. Now, to kick off with, this is going to be all trimmed up when it's finished with a 18mm trim, which is roughly that sort of height at the bottom of this. So that is my starting point. As soon as I find, excuse me, which of course I'll get a pen. This is going to be my starting point to actually work out my angles of the rough angles of the road. So this line here, that is going to be the actual line of my trim running all the way through. Now, the next thing I need to work out is the sort of turning circle, because I want the road to start from this corner, this edge here. I want to keep it down as low as I can and bring it in, and then the turning circle, then take it up. So that distance there, I feel if we put the vehicle in front, that to this point here, I'm not showing you correctly there, the lines on the actual, actually if I mark that up, see if that will stand out a bit more. Yes, you can just see it. There's actually lines on the foil which I'm going to just use as guide marks really. So from there to there, I feel that's sufficient distance to start the camber of the road. So that's how I shall work it. So if we place a piece of wood there at the bottom, and then we put the next piece of polystyrene foam board on top, and I shall measure it for you. So if we measure in, that's 200 millimeters or 20 centimeters. That will be my mark there, and that's where the actual road is going to start to turn to come back on itself. If we use another piece, that's not going to work, is it? Take that bit away. That will work. And so using that from that point to that point, and hopefully by drawing a line down there, that is going to give us our road. It's rather low flying aircraft. So we need to cut this section, and this section off. So what I shall do now is I'll put you on pause, I'll go and get that cut, and then we'll have another look. Okay, I've cut that gradient and it's massively too steep, as you can see. the poor tank looks like it's going up a side of a mountain vertical. So we're going to need to drop this down quite a considerable bit. So what I'm thinking, this point here, is I'm going to do a gradient from that point to that point here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut, well, I'll just mark that up like so. We'll draw a line down there like so, and I feel that's a more of an acceptable gradient. So I shall go off now and get that bit cut, and then we'll come back and we'll have another little look. Okay, I've cut that, and that looks a lot more acceptable. A gentle gradient. I might even plane it down a little bit, but what I need to do now is get this next piece sorted. So we'll actually be doing the same thing from that point there to actually make this sit right. So I wonder if we can get away with using that bit. We probably can. Yes, if we go, so I'm just working out how to actually do this as we go along. If we go to that point there, just there, and if we take that off and then draw a line from that point to that point, we should have the same gradient, by my reckoning anyway. So that is going to be my next cut. So I'm going to put you on pause again. I should go and get this cut and we'll have another look. Okay, I've done the second cut and we'll just have a little bit of a play. To me, that is feeling pretty good actually. Yeah, so if we actually cut this down to fit there, but what we also need to do now is actually make another piece at the back here. So in retrospect, we'll probably be moving that forward to there, then to actually get another piece in the back here to actually make out for the back of the mountain. So I'm going to put you on pause again, and I shall go and cut a piece. What I should probably do is cut a piece down a long ways so we've actually got a back into it like that, and then we can sculpt that up as part of the mountain and part of the backdrop. Yes, that will work. So I'm going to put you on pause and I should go and get this bit cut. Okay, now I'm happy with the gradients. I'm happy with the way that sits. I'm not very happy with the back piece at the moment. It just doesn't look right to me. Maybe because it's not being sculpted and shaped. So the way I'm going to do this now is I'm going to leave this back section off for a little while, and what I'm going to concentrate on now is actually gluing this section down. Take my big arm out of the way. Gluing this section down and getting everything roughly carved into some sort of shape, and then I can make a decision about this back bit. It's just not looking right to me at the moment. It may look right once I've sort of done a bit of sculpting down the bottom here, but that's the way it goes. I might have to think of something totally different for the back, but at the moment that's the way I'm going to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove all these, strip all the foil back, and we'll actually get this glued in place. I am going to glue this bit a bit far forward, so I can actually chop back. I'm probably going to need to fill this sort of overhang here, but it's not going to be no problem at all. So I'm going to get rid of these and get this glued down. Okay, I've removed all the vehicles and I've removed the paper. It just peels off very easily, and we're just going to stick this down very easily. When the PVA decides to come out, which it's not deciding to do. That was the same, isn't it? PVA glue. Position it. And that's it. We just leave this to dry. Now, if you want to, as you're building, if you want to build pretty quick, you can easily push pins, screws in, anything to hold it so you can actually get on. I like to use pins because they're just as easy, but you can stick as many as you want to hold it in place while the glue is drying. Now, I'm going to give that a little while, but also I will cut a slither and stick in there as well, I think, just to fill that up. And that's basically my base sorted. I'll tell you what I'll do. I shall put the camera on pause. I'll go and get a bit. We'll get that bit stuck in. And my apologies for ending that last clip rather abruptly. I clicked the button before I finished my sentence and off out the door. I actually found some bits that will just fit in here just to pack this out, because it doesn't need to be anything too special. It's only filling, so we're just going to PVA them in. Like so. Push that right in. So that's that bit in, and a little bit to go in there, because this is all going to be covered actually with decorators filler and PVA and decorators filler. That's what I'll be using to actually give it a coat, a skim, which will make it very hard and very strong. So that is basically my base done. Now what I need to do is wait till this dries, and then we'll start cutting back around this way here as well. Start cutting this back to actually start shaping it up to make it look like a bit of a mountain road. So I'm afraid to say that's going to be the end, because I think this video is getting into about 15-20 minutes now with the introduction. So I'm going to leave it there, leave this to dry, and then I shall start with another video fresh from this point. So I'd just like to thank you very much for joining me and sitting through my waffle, and hopefully we can see you on the next one.